Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. I'm Clara, and today I'm back with a review of the new Nars Wanted palette, as well as 3 different eye looks using all of the shades from this palette. I am wearing my third and favorite look on my eyes right now, and I do apologize if my makeup has gotten a little bit wonky from using the makeup remover and scrubbing off all those different eye looks, but let's just jump right in and talk about this beautiful palette. And P.S. don't forget to enter the Meteorites giveaway. It's still going on until the 15th, so you guys have some time, and I'll link that in the description. Okay, so first off we have this kind of interesting cover art. It's really pixelated, not my personal favorite, but I know they do different kind of covers with all the artists on them each time. Inside there's a full-size mirror in here, as well as 12 different eye shades. Now, Nars has said that this is like a new eyeshadow formula, which I was just a little bit disappointed when I read that, because I really love the hardwired eyeshadows and the dual intensity eyeshadows from Nars. I think they're some of the best formulas, and I do have 4 of their single eyeshadows, and I just actually ordered 2 more of the hardwired eyeshadows. That's how much I love them. And I would say right off the bat that while these are not quite the same quality as the single eyeshadows are individually actually pretty pricey for eyeshadows, so you're still getting a good deal in this palette, and it is a pretty versatile palette for fall. You have 5 matte shades. That's the matte brow bone shade, a kind of matte tan crease shade, a slightly darker tan shade. These two are pretty similar, but just different enough that you can see how they would include them both in the same palette. There's a kind of matte cranberry color, and then a matte dark brown. There are 2 satin colors in this palette, and that's this kind of light cream shade, just slightly peachier than the brow bone color, but very similar again. And then this satiny dark brown. We have 3 of what I would consider to be shimmers. First, this kind of champagne shimmer color, which was not quite as bright on the eye as I was actually hoping for. In the pan, it seems like it has a lot more shimmer. There's a shimmery cranberry color, which is kind of similar to this other cranberry color here. It's slightly more pink. I was hoping that with this palette they would make it just a little bit more different to have a little more variety, so you could get more looks out of the palette. And then this beautiful olive shade called Fallen Star. This is probably my favorite shade in this palette. I do have the hardwired eyeshadow in Pygar as well. You can see in the pan that they look almost exactly the same, but they're definitely very different shades. The one that comes in the Wanted palette is more of a dark olive color, and this is kind of a slightly green but more of a golden kind of shift to it. And this is actually one of my favorite single eyeshadows that Nars makes. I highly recommend it if you haven't picked it up yet. It's called Pygar once again. And I did add it to the inner part of my lid for this last kind of olivey look, because I found it really complemented the color Fallen Star in this palette. And lastly, we have 2 kind of like glittery shades, and that's this one here called Mendoza. It looks like a pink with a very strong orange duochrome shift in the pan, if you can see that. However, on the eyes, this one was kind of probably the most disappointing shade in the palette. I felt like I was expecting it to look more like the Natasha Denona shade Cyclone from the Lila palette, which is like a very intensely pigmented pink-orange duochrome. But this, you just get like a little wash of glitter. It doesn't really want to stick to the lid very well. I just found it didn't really give me that like brightness and dramatic duochrome look I was going for. Lastly, we have the second glitter shade called Shooting Star, and this one I actually was pretty happy with. Again, it's a glitter, but it does stick to the eyelids a little bit better than the other duochrome shade, and I find that it just kind of adds like a diamond sparkle to any look. I did also do a second smoky look using the shade Coconut Grove, this dark brown, and then I applied the shade Shooting Star on the top of it, and it really just enhanced the shimmer over that dark color. It was really beautiful. It's one of those colors that makes your shadows look even better, especially in like a low light setting, like a holiday party, because then the sparkle will just kind of catch the light in the most interesting ways. And it does kind of make a smoky look more wearable if you're not really used to wearing a lot of dark colors around your eyes, because it does give a silvery kind of shine. So my overall feelings about this palette, I do think it's a really good kind of holiday palette, and it's a good value for the price. I wish that Nars would have kept it either their hardwired or their dual intensity formulas, because I do find those are slightly better quality. I'm happy with the mattes in this palette. They all blended out really, really well. This dark brown color is really nice as well. However, it's not like Pat McGrath kind of intensity, which I've been getting a little bit spoiled with those shadows. I would say that I'm happy with about 3/4 of this palette. Especially these two shades here are just really, really beautiful. But that being said, I did find these Cranberry shades to be a little bit disappointing. Just every time I've done an eye look with them, I've been like, oh, like I want a little more something, and it just never gives me that something that I'm looking for. I think because these two shades are so similar, you have like that matte red cranberry and then like a shimmery pink cranberry, but they're just so similar when you blend them together that they don't really like complement each other. They just kind of end up looking a little bit muddy. I was just so hoping that this pink orange duochrome would be like that bam pop of color to really make the cranberry shade stand out, and it just doesn't really do it for me. It's almost better just not to have it on there. And that is one shade that you do also have to be kind of careful with fallout because it is a glitter shade. The first time I used it I got some fallout, the second time I didn't, but I was a little bit more careful patting it on the lid. So that's just something to keep in mind. So let's jump into the look that I did using the cranberry shades, and I think you guys will agree with me what I mean when I say that the cranberry shades just needed a little bit more something. So for my cranberry halo eye, I used the shade Temptress in the outer V, and that's the matte red cranberry shade. I used the shimmery cranberry shade called Wicked Game in the inner and outer thirds of my eyelid to kind of blend that red color in. Using the shade Coconut Grove, which is our matte dark brown, I deepened my outer V, top and bottom of the lash line. And then using this beautiful kind of tan brown crease shade called Seven Heaven, I added a little bit of definition to the lower lash line. Taking this shimmery cream shade Delirium, I added a little pop of brightness to the inner corner of the eye. This is one of the shades that I do kind of wish was just a little bit stronger. I took the duochrome shade Mendoza over the lid, and you can see it's just not really doing too much for us there. Again, going into Delirium, our shimmery cream shade, to add a little bit more brightness to the center of the lid. And that is the cranberry look. I would say I was kind of expecting a little bit more from this. This whole palette in the photos looked a little bit like a kind of rosy champagne pinky palette, but it really doesn't wear that way, which is good or bad just depending on what your preferences are. I would say if you're buying this palette for the cranberry shades to skip it. There's a lot of other beautiful kind of red tone palettes, and I would say the other colors in this palette perform much better than the cranberry shades. Moving on to my kind of smoky diamond look, I was really excited to share this one with you guys because I feel like the shade Shooting Star just brings so much to this look. So first we take our dark matte brown all over the lid, and you don't have to be too careful with this because we're going to blend it out. Just make sure that the tail end of both your eyes are even, and you can bring the shade Coconut Grove down under the lower lash line as well, and just kind of connect those two. Now we're going to blend that out with the shade Lala, which is our dark shimmery brown. The key to this is just a lot of blending, so just keep on going. Next we're going to keep blending with the darker of the matte tan shades, and that is called Shadow Hill. And finally we're going to use the shade Seven Heaven, which is the lighter tan shade, to finish blending that up into the brow bone. Taking the shade Delirium, I brightened the inner tear duct on the lower lash line. Finally, the shade that I was really excited to pair with this look, and that is the shade Shooting Star, which gives just such a beautiful kind of champagne-y, silvery sparkle. It really contrasts very well with the black. If you go to a holiday party wearing these, your eyes will just sparkle like diamonds every time you blink. It's really, really amazing. I would say that's one of the best combos out of this palette, although I have combined the dark matte brown shade Coconut Grove with the kind of olive green shade Fallen Star, and that looks really good together too because it gives just a little bit of almost like a golden shimmer to the black. Beautiful. Lastly, for my favorite look, and that is the olive look, I took the matte tan brown shade called Seven Heaven into the crease. This is the lighter tan shade. I took the matte cream shade Bizarretts up onto the brow bone, and I packed the olive shade Fallen Star all over the whole lid just so you guys could see what it looked like. And if you guys have a little bit of green in your eyes like I do, this color really brings out the green and makes your eyes look really multi-dimensional. I'm really kind of loving this shade. Next, we're going to deepen the outer V with that dark shimmery brown shade called Lala. It almost has a little bit of a brassy tone to it. Now to complete this look using this palette alone, I'm taking the shade Shooting Star and just tapping that silver champagne glitter over the top of our olive shade just to give it a little extra sparkle. But I really wanted to show you guys the difference between our green shade in the Wanted palette and the Hardwired Eyeshadow Pygar, so I did go back in and add that to the inner half of my lid because I do think these colors go really well together. And this is actually how I wore this look to a Christmas party. It just gives you a little bit of extra something. I like the kind of golden shine that Pygar gives. And then I went back in to add even more brightness and sparkle, and I tapped Shooting Star onto the lid again with my finger just to give a little extra silver sparkle to the look and make it extra festive for this holiday season. I finished that up with a wing using Coconut Grove and my YSL Faux Cils Waterproof Mascara. And that is it for my 3 looks using this palette. I really love to do reviews this way because I feel like you guys can get a feeling for each of the different shadows in the palette, but let me know what you guys think. Of course, this video and this review is for you guys, so I just want it to be as helpful as possible. Again, don't forget to enter in that giveaway, and we're gonna have another wonderful giveaway coming up after that, so stay tuned and subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. I have some wonderful goodies coming in, and lots of highlighters are showing up this week, so if that's your thing, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. And if you found this video helpful, please give me a like. I appreciate it very much. Tell your friends and have a happy holiday season. I'll talk to you all again really soon. Bye guys!